What's up guys, Eric here with Mountain Movers. Today we are going to be doing some container planting of gooseberry. This is a Hinamaki Red, which I've heard some sources say that this is a Japanese variety. Other sources will say that this is a variety from Finland. So you know, that's part of the research. You're going to find some conflicting information. I'm going to be planting mine in a pot. This is, I believe, a 16.5 inch in circumference. I don't know, probably relatively the same in depth. The reason why I plant in containers, or reasons that you may plant in containers, is for one, I rent. I don't own this location, so come with you and you don't want to have to leave them behind. Then containers are always a good option. I wouldn't plant in containers just to do it. Of course, if you can, put them in the ground. Now another reason is this variety here is actually a zone, I think it was 4 through 5, or I'm sorry, 4 through 6, and I'm in zone 7. So these may survive with some covering, but they may not. So another reason is if you're trying to do a plant that's a tropical plant, subtropical plant, or if it's not zoned for your area, and may not survive in the ground, then planting in containers will allow you to take that plant inside in a greenhouse, or just give you some more options, a broader spectrum of what you can plant. So you know, you can't put it in the ground, put it in a container, bring it in during the winter, which is what I will be doing with this guy. I'll put it in this greenhouse right here behind me. So another thing is why you would grow gooseberries at all, right? A great reason is these have more vitamin C than an orange. They're good in vitamin A, magnesium, as well as a large amount of other vitamins. So there's a few different types. There are dessert gooseberries, which are going to be better to eat raw, and then there are also cook varieties, better for culinary reasons, because they're tart, they're sour. Probably wouldn't be eating them raw. So I've also heard some information about these being toxic, at least the leaves, the foliage. Something to consider and look up on. This one's, you see, only a few inches tall. Came with some soil in the root in the bag. Another thing that I recommend whenever you're planting in containers is do not plant in the middle or in the heat of the day. I'll try to wait until, you know, maybe an hour or so before sunset in the evening before I plant, just because it's going to shock the plant a little, putting it in a container or transplanting it into the ground anyway. So just not having that direct sun beating straight down on it will give that plant a little head start and make it not have to struggle so much. Alright, so one downfall about gooseberries, or I say it's a downfall, is some of them, and I think the majority of them, have thorns, some more than others. You can get varieties that have less thorns and won't be as difficult to pick. But one good thing is they can be grown in lower light areas. So you do not have to have 8 hours of full direct sunlight generally to grow these. And that's another reason why you can put them in a container, because you can move it where it's sunny when it needs it and into shade when it needs it. You know, I wouldn't recommend it doing too often because plants do like consistency. But if you see that you put it in a place where there's too much sun or not enough, sometimes with my plants, even if I'm planning to put them on the ground, if I have a place in mind, I will plant them in a pot. I'll put that pot where I do plan to plant it and just see how the plant goes there for a week or two until I actually put it there. If it doesn't do well, then I can move it to another place, test it out and see if it does do better there. So these actually harvest in July. They do have kind of a small harvest window. I think it's between 2 or 3 weeks compared to grapes, which you can harvest them within a month or 2 months is the harvest time on those grapes. So there's not a huge, it doesn't have a very big harvest time, but you know, just for a small family or something like that, just something extra to come out, grab and snack on, to add variety to what you have. These are self-pollinators. You don't have to have more than one, but as in many plants, a lot of times if you have more than one, it will actually increase the amount of fruit that is produced by having more than one plant. So you don't have to have it to produce fruit, but you can produce more fruit, not only by having two, but it will have more fruit per bush by having pollinating. And gooseberries are also very high in antioxidants. So all in all, they're just a very healthy berry, and they're a great one to have. So I'll have this in combination with blueberries, raspberries. Again, I like a variety, especially a variety that will you know, ripen over time, and that way anytime I come outside, hopefully especially during the spring, summer, and even in the fall, I can harvest, you know, a berry no matter what time I'm coming out. So another thing is these actually grow, I think, between 3 to 5 feet tall or and in diameter. So you may have to do some trimming to keep those in order, especially if you're growing them in pots. Less of a concern if you know, you're growing them in the ground. So anyway, here we go, guys. I got my pot. I have it about a quarter way full of some good potting mix. I have a potting mix that actually has fertilizer in it. I don't know if that's the best, but that's what I have on hand. But I would definitely recommend still adding some type of all-purpose fertilizer just to the mix, just to give them a good head start. So let me grab my bag here. I'm actually mixing a 50-50. I have this raised bed and potting mix. I wish I had some soil conditioner to add to this. I don't actually have that at the moment, but I'll probably add that at a later time. So again, I have this maybe a third of the way full here with some potting mix. I'll be setting this in here, my plant, until the soil level is about even with the root flare of the plant. Another thing, guys, it's especially cool here right now in Middle Tennessee. It was a cold one, and this potting soil had been outside, so some of this potting soil was even frozen. So if it's in a condition like that and your potting soil is very, very cold, allow that soil to warm to room temperature, just so it doesn't shock the plant, putting that plant into very, very cold potting soil, especially when it already has green, such as this one does. This one's already producing foliage. So I think if I put it in some potting soil that's just a lot colder than what it was in previously, it'd probably shock it. May not kill it, but it definitely wouldn't be good for it. Okay, so let me find where I want it here. I need it a little higher. See if I can get y'all a better view. Alright, so here's my plant. So I want right here is about where I'm going to be looking to plant this plant. See, the roots are flaring out here, and you know, this is kind of common sense, guys. Some plants are more important than others to have it in the right place. You know, like strawberries. This one's a little less probably important, but still, you don't want it too deep. So it still needs a little soil yet. Oh yeah, now we're getting better. Filling around the sides. Now I did put some rocks in the bottom of this pot before I added that potting mix, just to hopefully help in the long time with drainage. So I actually have a lot of different things in pots right now. I got blueberries, raspberries. I actually have grapes. I got a peach tree. Now I didn't make a video for everything. A lot of things you can find. Even gooseberries have quite a bit of information. Alright. Alright, guys. There it is. Easy peasy. Thank you all for watching.